for this project, we're going to be making a artwork inspired by Chinese paintings. So I have a link of a read aloud for the story Empty Pot, and I'm going to actually imagine the flower and tree that would have grown from the main character's pot. But you guys can pick whatever you would like to try drawing for the positive space of your Chinese style painting. So remember, we talked about how Chinese artwork a lot of times is inspired by nature. So you could do animals, flowers, trees, anything you would like to try. And if you want to use your paper the landscape way or have a square piece of paper like some of those examples, that is okay too. I'm going to use my paper the portrait way to draw a tree. And later when we paint the background, the negative space, I will probably also add some flowers using the color. This week we're only going to be using black to draw our drawings. So please use either a black permanent marker or a black crayon. If you use markers, when we paint over the negative space next week, it might kind of blur. So I would like you to use something that's waterproof, like markers or crayons. So when you draw trees, just remember that trees are a lot of times bumpy. So instead of just drawing straight, you might want to kind of shake your lines a little bit. And there might be some branches coming out, or the whole tree might even be tilting to one side. So I'm just shaking my line so that it looks kind of bumpy like a tree. Trees aren't always straight, they might go in different directions. And once I have the big part of the tree, I will start to add some smaller branches. I'm just kind of shaking my hand to get those wild texture, just to show that it's bumpy. Okay, so I have some bigger parts now. So I think I'm going to switch to a skinnier Sharpie now to do some smaller branches. Okay, and now once you're finished, we're going to fill your drawing in with your drawing tool, either a black crayon or a black permanent marker. So try your best to color inside of your lines all the way. If you have more complicated things in your drawings, like people, you don't have to color in all the way, that is okay. But color in the parts that you would like it to be black. I like to color the smaller parts first. That way you can really focus on getting it all the way to the edges. Okay, so now I colored in my positive space and I drew a Chinese plum tree, and I will be adding some plum flowers to it next week when we do the painting part. So one last thing I would like you to try, if you can, is to write what your drawing is in Chinese. If you remember from the slides that we saw, a lot of the Chinese paintings has some lettering on it. Lettering is using those Chinese symbols to write down what the painting is about and who the artist is. So if you can, I would like you to try and write down what your painting or drawing is. So mine is a plum tree, and I looked up how to write plum in Chinese. So pick a space, usually it's going to be in one of the corners. And that is plum in Chinese. So I would like you to try that out. And also, if you know your Chinese name, you could put it somewhere on your paper too. You could put it in smaller letters by other Chinese character, or you can put it in a different corner. So you can try and practice some extra Chinese with this project too. We're going to be working on this artwork this week, next week, and the week after. Today we drew, next week we'll paint, and the final week will be gluing. So make sure you take a picture of what you are able to do this week, which is just a drawing, and send it to me through Artsonia or Canvas. Remember that I did a tree, which you're welcome to try and do a tree like my example, or you can pick your subject matter. Subject matter is what you would like to draw. So if you want to do something other than a tree, that is okay too. Just make sure that you draw your positive space with a black waterproof drawing material.